this video, I'm going to uncover the shocking connection between childhood trauma and autoimmune disease. And you're going to discover how breaking the cycle can lead to a healthier and happier life. The topic of childhood trauma and autoimmune disease is a complex and multifaceted one, and it's gaining increasing attention in the medical and the psychological fields. Childhood trauma, which can encompass a wide range of experiences, such as physical, sexual, or emotional abuse, neglect, or loss. It has been shown to have a significant impact on an individual's mental and physical health. Research has also revealed a strong link between childhood trauma and the development of autoimmune diseases, in which the body's immune system mistakenly attacks healthy cells. As a clinical hypnotherapist, I've seen firsthand the ways in which childhood trauma manifests in an individual's body, and I understand the importance of addressing and healing these experiences to improve overall health and well-being. So let's just jump right in. To begin with, let's consider what childhood trauma is, because you may think that this video doesn't apply to you. Your childhood was great, there's no way that this is you. Believe me, from my experience as a hypnotherapist, this does apply to you if you have a chronic illness. Trauma can also be referred to as an adverse childhood experience, which basically refers to anything negative a child goes through that can adversely affect their mental and their physical health. The magnitude of the event doesn't matter. What matters is how it influences the child who experienced it. A traumatic event can be a one-time act of abuse, or even like a sudden car accident or a sudden injury. It could be multiple experiences that happen over a long period of time, like growing up in an emotionally neglectful or abusive home, having a parent that suffers from depression or addiction. Or then you have the most common type, which is the lack of having your needs met. Now, whether it's consistent hunger, insecurity within your environment, long-term emotional harm, or lack of safety, these all can affect the child the same. Something as simple as having a parent who denies your emotions or who cannot regulate their own, this can impact a child adversely. The reason this causes damage is because a child operates from an egocentric mindset. So when their needs aren't met or their environment isn't safe, their ego has to devise a reason why so that it can avoid it from happening again. Now, because a child lacks the capacity for logic and reason, its ego blames itself, and it creates a limiting belief about itself that it then uses to form the child's identity and to control its behaviors. So the child blames itself because it's safer to have a reason that's self-deprecating than not have one at all. This self-blame leads to tension in the body, which comes in the form of negative emotions as well as thoughts. Now, this tension eventually leads to the suppression of these negative emotions, as well as coping mechanisms that will eventually become the cause of disease. It could be something as seemingly innocent as your parents worked a lot to give you a nice life, but this caused them to be absent more than you had wanted as a child, leading you to adopt a belief system that you weren't what they wanted. You are unlovable. You are worthy of rejection. The beliefs that were formed during your formative years are now stored in your subconscious mind, hidden away from your conscious awareness, and they're being used as the filtration system through which you view the world. So now, how exactly is this impacting your health? Because so far, all of this sounds mental, right? One of the key ways in which childhood trauma can affect mental health is by altering the functioning of the limbic system. The limbic system is a group of structures within your brain that play an important role in emotional regulation, as well as the perception of threats. The limbic system is activated when the body experiences a traumatic event, releasing stress hormones and causing a fight or flight response. This response is designed to help the body cope with danger and to survive. But in the cases of chronic childhood trauma, the limbic system may remain in a state of heightened activity long after the trauma has ended. When you are repeatedly exposed to a stressful situation, your limbic system becomes damaged, taking this damage into your adult life. A damaged limbic system means you lack the ability to regulate your emotions and you perceive threats where there are none, leading to chronic stress and anxiety. In addition, the constant state of readiness that the limbic system is in may lead to neglecting physiological needs, such as eating, drinking, and sleeping. It's also associated with poor impulse control, which eventually leads to addiction and self-harm. Children who have experienced trauma may be more likely to engage in risky behaviors, such as substance abuse and unhealthy eating habits, many more. So the takeaway from this is that a damaged limbic system creates a life of chronic stress. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, well, stress is a part of life. That is true. It's a part of life when you are able to get a handle of the situation and then overcome it. Stress is not supposed to be constant. We live in a society where that's now normal, but it really isn't supposed to be. Chronic stress is dangerous because it throws the body out of homeostasis, pulling energy out of all of your organs and all of the different systems, creating inflammation. Homeostasis is a state of balance and equilibrium in the body. The body is designed to balance various systems and functions, such as the immune, endocrine, and nervous systems. However, when the body experiences chronic stress, such as that caused by childhood trauma, it throws the body out of homeostasis. When the body is under stress, it diverts energy away from non-essential functions, such as growth and repair, which is weird, right? It should be essential. And it redirects it to the systems that are necessary for survival, such as the immune and the nervous systems. This causes a depletion of energy in your other organs and all the other systems, leaving them vulnerable to dysfunction and disease. Furthermore, chronic stress can also lead to the activation of the immune system. The immune system is responsible for protecting the body from all foreign invaders, such as bacteria and viruses. When the body experiences a traumatic event, the nervous and endocrine systems respond by releasing stress hormones, like cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones can temporarily boost the immune system, making it more responsive to potential threats. However, if the stress response is activated too often, it can cause the immune system to become overworked and overactive. This overactivity leads to the development of autoimmune diseases, in which the immune system mistakenly attacks healthy cells. It can also increase the risk of chronic inflammation, which is linked to various health issues, such as heart disease, diabetes, cancer. On top of that, chronic stress will lead to poor sleeping habits, poor diet, and low physical activity. This all contributes to the development of chronic diseases. It's all just one big cluster. So when we experience a traumatic event, the energy of the experience imprints into our bodies and our nervous system. Animals naturally have a response where, after they survive a life-threatening event, like almost being eaten, they shake uncontrollably, so their body releases the fear and the adrenaline that was just pumping through their bodies. Now, because humans have a conscious mind, we intercept this natural process by immediately trying to find out a reason why it happened. This one thought process causes the energy of the experience to get trapped into the body. It becomes stamped into our body. Our bodies become the blueprint of our life experiences. And because this energy is dense and doesn't belong in us, our bodies will create symptoms in an attempt to regulate. The subconscious mind will use symptoms as a way to get your attention so that you can release what doesn't belong and so that you can get back to balance. So now let's talk about some of the studies that have been done on this. There have been several studies conducted in recent years that have revealed an incredibly strong link between childhood trauma and the development of autoimmune disease. One of the most notable studies is the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study. Now, this was conducted by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and Kaiser Permanente. The study surveyed over 17,000 adults and found that individuals who reported experiencing traumatic events during childhood, such as physical or sexual abuse, were more likely to develop autoimmune diseases in adulthood. Now, according to Harvard University Center for the Developing Child, early experiences are built into our bodies, creating biological memories that shape development for better or worse. Toxic stress caused by significant adversity can undermine the development of the body's stress response and affect the architecture of the developing brain, cardiovascular system, the immune system, the metabolic regulatory controls. These disruptions persist into adulthood, leading into lifelong impairments in both physical and mental health. Research also suggests that the relationship between childhood trauma and autoimmune disease is likely to be complex and multifactorial, and it may involve a combination of genetic, environmental, and psychological factors. So now that said, I want to touch on the genetic aspect of disease. There is a saying, your genes load the gun, your environment pulls the trigger. We all have between 20 and 25,000 genes. Just because we have a gene doesn't mean it's going to be expressed. The emerging field of epigenetics shows that our environment determines whether a gene is expressed or repressed. Numerous factors contribute to the formation of your environment, such as pollutants and contaminants, toxic mold spores, dietary choices, and your own mental outlook. And this originates in your limbic system. This is a powerful force that shapes both your physical and your emotional habitat. I honestly consider this to be the most important because you can clean up your diet. You can remove as many toxins as possible. You can escape mold, but you can't escape your mind. It's always with you. And your perception sends signals through your nervous system. It tells your cells what kind of environment you are living in so your body can adapt to it. If you are always perceiving danger, your body and your genes will adapt to that. Now remember, your perception is determined by your limbic system, which if damaged, always sees danger. So hopefully I've made it very clear that identifying and addressing childhood trauma is essential for improving overall health and well-being. So now, how do you heal it? There are a lot of different modalities that will work to heal any type of adverse experience or trauma. You have therapies such as cognitive behavioral therapy, EMDR, hypnotherapy, breath work, somatic healing therapies. These have all been proven to be effective in addressing and resolving childhood trauma. It's very important to note that addressing childhood trauma is a process that takes time, and every individual will experience it differently. but seeking professional help and support is very crucial in healing and moving forward. Now, I personally like to use with my clients a combination of hypnotherapy, breath work, and somatic exercises because I find that it addresses every aspect of trauma as well as all of its effects on the body and the mind. It rewires and retrains your limbic system. It rewrites the way your body and your mind remembers and responds to traumatic situations, while simultaneously releasing the energetic charge from your nervous system, releasing the trapped emotions from your body, and allowing you to live in peace and harmony. It's also very important to have a strong support system, which consists of family members, friends, or medical professionals who are willing to listen with compassion and understanding, because not being seen and not being heard plays a big part. So now, in conclusion, whatever route you take in healing childhood trauma doesn't matter. The most important thing is that you start. It's very worth taking the time and effort to work through and heal any experience that might be contributing to your autoimmune disease, because you want to get better. And like I said, you can't escape your mind and you can't escape this body. So by breaking the cycle of toxic stress caused by trauma, we can all effectively reduce our risk of developing autoimmune disease, and we can all create a healthier future for ourselves.
If you are ready to take the next steps, head on over to jamieholloman.com, where you can book your free 30-minute strategy session with me today. I can't wait to meet you.